good piece of the program will be about what is this program going to do for you. So not just giving you the tools that you need, but helping you to translate those tools into, how can this help me in the business environment? What kinds of opportunities can I look at? And so we'll help each student come up with an individual development plan for, how you're going to take your previous background plus the skills you're getting from this class into more opportunities.
This is a 3-week program. The classroom time is about 8:30 to 4:30 every day. So it's going to be a pretty intensive classroom experience. Certainly not all lecture and certainly not all sitting in the classroom the whole time. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Daniels leadership model. This is what we use for all of our executive education classes, as well as the business school, sort of how we frame most of our classes and degree programs that we use. You'll see just a lot of the terminology, and this is what we're sort of trying to get out of this program, is so that when you walk into a room and you're talking about marketing, and like for instance in your situation when you think, well, you're going to be in education, is that really business? In every meeting in an organization, whether it's in higher ed, whatever it is, you're talking about things like marketing, you're talking about strategy, you're talking about long-term goals, you're talking about all those things. And so it doesn't matter where you are, it's applicable. Just a very brief overview. I think Paul's going to go into a little bit more detail. He'll be doing a lot of the leadership pieces of the course, but then we'll have quite a few other faculty members, as well as guest speakers, etc., that will be coming in to talk about these different areas. One of the more important pieces of the course is this leadership retreat that you can see, kind of, I can't really see it, but here in this dark blue. We'll go to the Nature Place, which is a retreat location in Florissant, Colorado. And there we will do a lot of the team building, sort of learning about yourself and how you lead and how others, interact with other people, etc.
I think it's a really great program, and it's got a lot of the aspects that I think you would really need in order to speak the same language in business. I think that's what you'll find is it's, in a lot of ways, a different language in terms of ROI or just a number of great acronyms that you'll need in the business world. And the program itself is going to be very interactive, lots of activities, lots of ways to get at points and things along those lines, to get at what are some key things that we need to know in order to lead effective teams, in order to be an effective leader. Relationships are critical. That's the one thing that will not change, is the importance of relationships. And so I think part of this program allows you to create some relationships within the business community, but it's also about, where are your strengths and weaknesses, and how can you better relate with people based upon that. Becca mentioned the Nature Place and having 2 days there to do some really great work around teamwork and leadership development. We use an assessment called the Insights Discovery. Has anyone taken that?
I have.
Any chance? You have? Yeah.
We used it in everything, like you'd get in groups with people, and I was a yellow-green, and so I didn't want to be with all these red people.
Right.
So it was funny. I mean, everyone had name tags with their colors, but eventually you really learn how to work with all those different kinds of personalities, and just, it's not like you're so different, you just have to explain something a certain way for me compared to a person that's very power focused and to the point,
Right,
So it's really
absolutely. Cool. Yeah, and it helps you sort of identify, without even other people taking the assessment, you'll be able to see, okay, this person has a lot of red energy, this is how I need to work with them. And so it's a really neat tool. With Insights, you just develop a common language right away. And not only do you see how you can work together with a team that knows that, but you see how you can work with a lot of people based upon that. And at the Nature Place, you do a lot of really great activities, ropes course activities, and so that really helps you create an environment where you have to learn from one another, you have to rely on other people, and so you use what you've learned about yourself from that instrument, but also in other ways as well. You use other things you learn about yourself and know about yourself to really be more effective as a team. So that's one of the, I think, really distinct pieces of this. I think the Nature Place is by far my, favorite retreat center in Colorado. Teams fail a lot of times because they don't have a collaborative climate. And that's one of the key things in this program as well that we'll talk about is how do you really get along with others? It seems very simple, right? It's something your kindergarten teacher would send. She plays well with others or something like that. But it's a very critical thing in business, is to have that kind of collaborative climate in teams. So we'll look a great deal from the leadership aspect. There's obviously a lot of finance things and other things I'm not talking about, but from the leadership perspective, we'll look at conflict resolution. We'll look at how you work with everyone on a team. Personality is a piece of it, and so that insights discovery piece, that's a piece that's really going to help you. But then there are other techniques also that we'll focus on in terms of how do you sort of resolve conflicts with others. I teach something called Crucial Conversations with my students, and it's a great book, but it talks about how do you surface difficult issues? How do you bring more dialogue to the table, especially when you have an authority figure who is sort of domineering? How do you do that in sort of a subordinate position, but also how do you as an authority figure have those conversations with people that you're leading as well?
There are a lot of the things that we talk about when we talk about business and being in positions of leadership, and several of you are just graduating from undergrad or maybe have gone directly into your master's program. You're like, well, I'm just going to be starting at the lowest level. And I think that the thing that's really important about all of this is leading from whatever position that you're in, because there's a lot to say about that. For somebody higher than you to look at you and say, this person could really, excel in this company, they need to see that you can lead from whatever position that you're in. And so whether that just means being a good follower, I mean, there's this whole concept of followership. How do you become a good follower and still show that you're a very valuable part of an organization?
The ability to influence with valid authority is just a crucial leadership skill. You might look at it as a followership skill, but it's really how do you influence others that are at peer level. And so when you're in your first job, there's this little sort of tidbit of mastering the 10-word answer. And pretty often, it happened when I was here, working at the College of Business, and the dean at the time I'd run into him in the elevator, something like that, and he'd say, "Oh, how's it going?" And the normal response in our society is what? "Oh, it's good. How are you?" Yeah, absolutely. So, and one thing that can really set you apart is having a 10-word answer. I mean, it sounds very political soundbite-like, but having something so that you can have an answer ready for anyone who you come across that says, "This is what I'm working on," just in a few seconds. And so it gives that person a different impression of you. And so there are lots of things that we can do with this program that really help you not only sort of get that first job, but be successful when you're there as well.
We really want to get you out into the surrounding areas, into companies that you'd be interested in possibly networking with, as well as just finding out a little bit more about them. And so we do hope to incorporate, we won't go into details of the project, but incorporate your interests and the outside, community and businesses, corporations, or nonprofits, governmental organizations back in. So hopefully, with that kind of connection, not only will you be networking, but you'll also be, completing some sort of a project around that, whether it's
something that really applies the concepts that you get from the program.
Yeah.
So.